nuclear dragonfire rains down upon the galactic city of Coruscant. Hundreds of organized, force-sensitive beasts, hundreds of feet long, lay waste to skyscrapers with their powerful bodies and tails. Panic has enveloped the core worlds as the Republic seems helpless in preventing this onslaught. But how did we get to this moment? And how did the Republic survive such a perilous encounter? In today's video, we explore the Star Dragons, powerful creatures that even Palpatine, when at the height of his power, was afraid of. Many thousands of years before the Clone Wars, or even the time of Darth Revan, the Republic was expanding at a rapid rate. At this time, the Republic had practically no other rivals. The Sith Order would not be formed for another 8,000 years, and the only other major galactic faction were the militaristic Hutts. But they spent most of their time in civil war, using superweapons against their own planets. The only real threat the Republic had was its own internal conflicts and competition. For millennia, half of the Republic was dominated by Coruscant and the other by Alsakan. These two factions fought many civil wars, but for a while there was peace. This, however, did not mean there was harmony. Both Coruscant and Alsakan were in a relentless drive to colonize new systems and discover new worlds, hoping to integrate these new planets into their respective factions so they could gain more power over the other. This relentless drive was usually met with little resistance. Discovered worlds often benefited a lot from joining the Republic, and if there was resistance, it was soon snuffed out by the Republic's military. That was until about 15,000 years before the Clone Wars. Some Republic scouts found a group of mysterious beasts flying in space, some hundreds of foot long. In a panic, they fired upon these dragon-like creatures. Fleeing in fear, hundreds of dragons pursued them back towards the core worlds. But what exactly were these creatures? These were the Dunaguin, some of the most ancient and powerful creatures in the galaxy. The Dunaguin, also known as the Star Dragons, were a sight to behold. Their forms were adorned with delicate translucent wings, many powerful legs, and a large mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. These majestic beings varied greatly in size and form, some as small as 30 foot, though whispers and rumors spoke of ancient ones that stretched to almost 1,000 feet long. Each dragon was a different color, some jet black, others a stunning white, while others were a mesmerizing purple. Beneath their stunning exterior, the Dunaguin harbored complex biology that seemingly defied the laws of nature. It was believed that nestled within their vast bodies were internal organs that functioned as repulsorlifts. This remarkable adaptation allowed them to take to the skies with ease, allowing them to fly through space without the need for technology. For months, even years, they could navigate the cold, endless void, unbound by the need for an atmosphere or warmth. Their breath was a weapon of legend, capable of exhaling superheated gases with a force estimated to be around 30 times more potent than the average turbolaser. Indeed, it was believed that the power of a single Star Dragon was about the same as a Viscount-class Star Defender. This fearsome ability led scholars to speculate on the presence of organs capable of organic cold nuclear fusion within their bodies. These creatures were not only marvels of physical prowess, but also of longevity, with lifespans that could stretch up to 6,000 standard years. They could also regenerate from injuries very fast, something that many have contributed to their very long lifespans. Their homeworld remained a mystery, a secret guarded closely by the Star Dragons themselves. Instead, they wandered the stars, seen on many worlds across the galaxy. Their sightings in the depths of space, far from any celestial body, suggest a mastery over faster-than-light travel, similar to a Purrgil, a feat that further underscores the biological complexity of these creatures. The Star Dragons, in addition to their imposing physical presence and their ability to unleash nuclear fire, also had a deep connection to the Force. Remarkably, nearly half of these majestic beings were highly Force-sensitive, seemingly possessing an innate ability to interact with this mystical energy that binds the galaxy together. Their intelligence was another facet of their remarkable nature, with most Star Dragons demonstrating cognitive abilities that far surpass those of the average human. This combination of high intellect and Force sensitivity meant they could harness and utilize the Force in many ways similar to the Sith, wielding abilities that could influence the minds of others, move objects through telekinesis, or even foresee events yet to happen. Interestingly, the Star Dragons were also the precursors to many of the galaxy's most dangerous beasts. When two Star Dragons mated, it was often a gamble with unpredictable outcomes. Frequently, their offspring turned out to lack intelligence, behaving more like wild, uncontrollable beasts than the majestic creatures of their lineage. These offspring were typically seen as a danger, leading their own parents to make the difficult decision to eliminate them to prevent further chaos. This grim aspect of their reproduction discouraged many Star Dragons from seeking mates, thus preferring solitude over the risk of having to confront and possibly destroy their own offspring. The underlying cause of this unpredictable range of traits in their offspring was believed to be the Star Dragon's highly variable genetic code. This variability was so extreme that it sometimes resulted in entirely new species, with many of the galaxy's dragon-like species being related to them. For example, it is believed that the Krayt Dragon of Tatooine evolved from a group of Star Dragons' less intelligent offspring. Similarly, another dragon-like species, the Kadri Ra, were considered possible relatives of the Star Dragons. Fortunately for the galaxy, the Star Dragons not only stood out for their formidable abilities and connection to the Force, but also, at least usually, for their wisdom and philosophical nature. Their extended lifespans, spanning thousands of years, allowed them to accumulate a depth of knowledge and perspective that few species could match. Their temperament was typically calm and even-keeled, with many of them deeply engrossed in contemplations of the cosmos and philosophical inquiries. One of the most notable characteristics of the Star Dragons was their inherent sense of morality. This innate understanding of right and wrong guided their actions, making them not only powerful beings, but also ethical ones. However, it must be noted that some mutated Star Dragons were not so kind or moral. Some displayed sharp intelligence, but in a malevolent form, using their wits for manipulation and harm rather than wisdom or benevolence. Fortunately though, the Star Dragons would usually purge such members from their own ranks. The role of the Star Dragons in galactic history remains largely a mystery. However, across many cultures and species, myths and legends often spoke of heroic dragons that played pivotal roles in saving entire races from disasters or oppression. These stories, passed down through generations, suggest that the Star Dragons might have intervened in crucial moments of history, acting as guardians or saviors when the fate of a planet or species hung in the balance. If I were to speculate, I would say that they are probably involved in some way with the Celestials, a powerful Force-sensitive civilization that also aided and guided the galaxy's younger species in the early years of galactic history. However, despite their wise and peaceful nature, the Star Dragons would fight back if attacked, as was the case when they first made contact with the Galactic Republic. Responding en masse to the initial violent encounter, hundreds of these formidable beings trailed the scout ships back through the vastness of space, converging on the Republic's capital. Upon their arrival, they unleashed their might upon the galactic city, breathing atomic fire that wreaked havoc and brought unprecedented devastation. This aggressive response shocked the inhabitants of the core worlds, sparking widespread concern and fear. The Republic, despite its vast resources and military might, found itself powerless to halt the Star Dragon's onslaught. The creature's intelligence, coupled with the ability to breathe nuclear fire, left the Republic's defenses in disarray. The situation grew increasingly dire, with the very survival of the Republic capital hanging in the balance. However, this awful situation took an unexpected turn towards resolution. In a crucial moment, Supreme Chancellor Faloran recognized the intelligence and wisdom inherent in the Star Dragons, paving the way for a peaceful resolution. This realization led to a historic negotiation with Bortz Mato, a philosopher among the Star Dragons. The discussions between the Chancellor and this dragon philosopher marked the beginning of the end for what would become known as the Dunaguin contention. Through dialogue, they bridged the vast cultural and communication divide that had initially led to the misunderstanding and the conflict. In fact, after this war had ended, the Chancellor and the Star Dragon philosopher went on to open the University of Coruscant, aiming to spread philosophical enlightenment so that such a situation never occurred again. After this, despite their general predisposition towards solitude, at least two members of their kind would join the Jedi. Jedi Master Wilm Lin, who lived around 4600 BBY, stands out for the founding of a Jedi Academy. Another Star Dragon, a Padawan named Stefa Tartor, met a tragic end during the Clone Wars, falling in battle against General Grievous's starfighter. Despite these historical engagements and a strong inherent sense of morality, the Star Dragons chose a path of isolation during the tumultuous period of the Galactic Civil War. This period of self-imposed exile was notably marked by their denial of their Force sensitivity to the Empire. Emperor Palpatine, despite likely being aware that this was a falsehood, opted for a surprisingly cautious approach. Choosing not to confront or provoke the Star Dragons, Palpatine's decision could be interpreted as a recognition of their formidable power and the potential consequences of reigniting their wrath, which once brought Coruscant to its knees during the Dunaguin contention. And that's all for today's video. Be sure to comment your lore questions down below, and I'll see you in the next video.